Hey everybody, sorry for being a bit late here. Minutes. I'm on Lisbon time, so actually early, if you account for that. I'm here. I'm here today with the guys. Well, the guy, I guess, from WhaleRoom, and we're going to be some WhaleRoom. If you never turned into one of these fireside chats, my name is Kevin Murcko. I'm CEO and founder of a company called Coinmetro. It's a crypto exchange. Got about 20 years experience before that in financial markets, mainly in FX. Usually with listings, we like to do these fireside chats so we can figure out what these guys are doing and what they're up to. So go have at it. Please introduce yourself. Let us know what you're up to. Keep it to a minute or so, just a nice brief overview, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Yeah, so I'm Chris Defour, co-host and co-founder at WhaleRoom and Century. And basically, WhaleRoom, when we got started, the whole idea around the infrastructure we wanted to build and the problem we wanted to solve was around increasing the quality of discussion and conversations in crypto-related chat rooms or communities. And so we came up with, a mechanism for doing this, what we call this token gating. And so for the last 2 years, and I have been working on is developing the infrastructure to be able to provide these types of token gated community experiences, but beyond that, also experiences that are gated around events or e-commerce. So I'm based out of the company's based out of Canada. My co-founder is located in London, and our team's spread out a bit all around the world. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting to this point. Of course, we've had our ups and downs, but that's like any project. Oh, you froze.
Did I? Okay, yes. So somebody says my mic is leaking. I don't really know what that means. Technically speaking, I guess I'm losing sound. Chris, you hear me? Dava, do you hear me? Do you hear me okay? Am I coming through all right now? All right. I think it's because these earbuds keep falling on my ears, and when I touch them, I'm probably turning them off. So yeah, I'll try not to touch them. I don't know. We're gonna see how this works out. Yeah, unfortunately, guys, I got stuck in I was supposed to be in a much better place right now, but I got stuck because there was no cars to drive me out of here. So I'm in a restaurant, and I can't leave it. So it is what it is. If Chris, if you do hear that my sound cuts in and out, just say something about it so that I can make sure I adjust on my side, because I'm on a phone and I have two different screens open on the phone, so it's going to be fun for the next hour, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, so you mentioned token gating in there, and I'm just wondering, as far as kind of like customer life cycles, B2C, how does token gating play? What role does token gating play in kind of that relationship? Because I guess it's something that most people have never heard of. I mean, they've probably heard of some form of gating, because if they're coming from gaming or other kind of I would say like trendy things, but token gating is probably new to people.
Yeah, for sure. So it obviously started in the crypto realm with utility token projects or governance token projects. What you'd have the project launch, and in some cases also for NFT collections and stuff like that, utilities were promised to the holders as benefits for being stakeholders in the given projects. And what would tend to happen there is that there was no infrastructure for actually limiting access to these types of community experiences with proving ownership of tokens. And so what started in really the crypto world is kind of morphed into, there's demand now coming from the Web2 side, where membership businesses, online course businesses, B2C type brands, think restaurants or franchises of any sort, are looking to issue NFT collections for the most part. And when it comes to those NFT collections being launched, of course, they go and will tell the members of these collections, whether they pay for the tokens or they have them airdrop to them for being loyal, they're given benefits for being holders of these tokens. And so obviously the types of experiences that get gated for those types of B2C brands is more things like around holder only events for the loyal segment of your customer base, or a proven customer community where only people who've been issued an NFT for having purchased something have access to a chat, or maybe priority support or customer support. Or let's say we can think of an artist or a creator, and they want to hold token gated events or have token gated offers for their customers or their fans. There's a need for token gating at the post purchase cycle for a lot of the consumer market, and we see this being a big trend over the next few years as Web2 businesses get more and more confident and see a bit more and more stability in implementing Web3 technology. So that's where we see an opportunity to be building that infrastructure that we think is necessary.
I guess what came to my mind was, back in 2017, 16, 17 into 18, everybody was talking about utility and token projects were trying to figure out any way to add utility to their tokens. And some of the ideas were great, but implementation was bad. Some of the ideas were terrible. There was no implementation. Some of the ideas were, let's say, actually provided really great utility, but they just simply couldn't be implemented by every project because whatever cost or inability to just get things over the line. So, I see definitely that whole token gating for WhaleRoom is something that provides a very useful. Okay, hold on.
You're back.
I'm back. I don't know what that is. I think it's literally just because I'm on another screen or something. All right, so I'll try to spend more time on the screen where I can see you rather than my cheat sheet, my notes.
No problem.
So anyway, just saying that it's a great thing that you can provide that level of utility to companies, things that are really useful, but things that companies generally wouldn't build for themselves because you're not going to build a communication platform if your main business is gaming, or if your main business is an exchange for that matter. But it's a great utility to provide back to your users, and it's a great way to reward users, create VIP experiences, etc. So token gating is an awesome thing, and I think it may not have caught on like I thought it would as quick as I thought it would, but I think at the end of the day it is definitely going to catch on. It is a utility that most projects need. So. I have a little note here about Coinmetro itself listing WhaleRoom and listing the token and why we did that. And I guess that's more of a question for me. So I'm going to answer that one really quickly, and I think I kind of just did. When we were also, and we constantly, as any business that's tokenized, constantly is going to look, especially if it's a utility token, is constantly going to look to provide more liquidity. Or not liquidity, sorry, utility. Well, liquidity as well, but it's a whole other conversation. And when it comes to utility, creating utility is easy to put on paper. It's not that easy to actually do in real life. And creating tools needs a massive amount of resource. And so finding companies that can help you push out usable and useful utility is important. And so when we first had our conversation about WhaleRoom, and this kind of idea that, it's kind of like a Discord, but you're able to, kind of create these private groups, and these private groups can have very specific use cases and very specific reasons why people use those groups, especially for a company with a large community like Coinmetro. That I just clicked in my brain is something that made a lot of sense. And I know that we're not the only company out there that is tokenized or will tokenize and needs to add this type of utility back to their base. And NFTs is a great example of that, because if you think about the biggest NFT collections, like Bored Ape Yacht Club, etc., the only utility those things have is that it allows you to get into Bored Ape parties. And so the virtual version of that is essentially, WhaleRoom. It's a way to virtually token gate access to and prioritize access, etc., to certain people. And then so that kind of got me thinking a lot about other projects that we had talked to, about other things we had listed that were constantly, like I said, on the lookout for utility. And that's why at least I gave my hand up when we were discussing internally about WhaleRoom. Not to mention the UI is amazing. I think the experience is amazing. I think the work on product is also, not only is it pretty, it works. And that's hard to find in any product, to be honest. I mean, either the product is pretty and doesn't work, or it's ugly and works, usually. It's very difficult to find something that's kind of visually appealing, but also everything's in the right place. It works, and it works without, major glitch. And so, all those things were why I put my hand up, and that's why we listed WhaleRoom. So I got my question out of the way. Now we can jump back into one for you. Give me 1 second. I I'm sorry. This should be more seamless, but I have to pull up my cheat sheet because I can't leave it on the screen because you can't hear me. So, so question number 2 on my list here. So how could WhaleRoom's product and services be used in the next 5 years? Is what I have on my cheat sheet.
Yeah. So, like I said, we see a large. Well, first of all, I'll start with the cyclical nature of the Web3 industry, crypto industry. Excitement around trying these types of new novel use cases kind of goes with the cycles. And so obviously right now we're in the middle of, or there's tons of speculation where we're at in this cycle. But the idea is that when the excitement returns and all the Web2 companies are seeing Web3 stuff everywhere, that's when typically we have the most inbound demand for the types of services we provide around token gating. And we saw a big rush of this in 2021, but into 2022. And the next time it happens, we think that rush is going to be a lot bigger. And the average person approaching us is also going to be a lot more educated around Web3 in general, from the last cycle we just experienced. So where I'm going with this is that all these brands are business that have loyal customer bases, that have some aspects of the business where they can deploy royalty. We believe that's going to be done with NFT collections that are given out to loyal customers or paid for tokenized memberships for new iterations of their products. And so we see a place like where we'd fit in very nicely there in onboarding that demand once the excitement around the industry comes back to what it was, and adoption keeps creeping upwards as we've seen over the last 10 years. That kind of answer the question?
I think it does, and I think this whole market is cyclical, right? So whether it be from a product standpoint, whether it be from a pricing standpoint, whether it be from whatever standpoint you look at, it's driven by FOMO, hype, and more as the market grows, it's driven by, let's say, macro as well, because obviously new money only comes in when the macro is good. Old money continues to flow in and out even if the macro is bad, but new money generally only flows in with good macro. And so I think you answered the question. I tend to agree that it's hard to build something new, no matter how good it is, for it to get traction. It needs to go through a couple cycles, because people need to first, you kind of get the cheerleaders that come out first, and then the cheerleaders help propel you into a new market and make sure that your kind of niche product becomes more seen. And once people see it and they love it, they tell more people about it. And to be honest, Coinmetro goes through some of those similar challenges as well, and has since inception, because we also are somewhat niche. Maybe the business isn't so niche, but the way we run the business is very niche. And even though I would say we run it better than most, it's still run a different way. So we come up as kind of the oddball on the court, so to speak. We don't look like everybody else, and that's always been something that has caused. Which I would assume is probably similar for something like WhaleRoom, but for a different reason, because it's a kind of an innovative product that people haven't seen before, and thus it takes time. But it looks like other products, so it may look like a Discord. People go, "Oh, I already have Discord," and for people to realize why it makes sense to go onto WhaleRoom, that's a process. Definitely bull markets in crypto help bring more new eyeballs into the market, and that's exactly probably what you and Coinmetro need. New eyeballs. We always need new eyeballs.
No, of course.
Yeah. So you already talked a bit about kind of helping web brands adopt to Web3. If you have anything else you want to add to that about what WhaleRoom can possibly do other than token gating, maybe, or even other aspects of token gating that Web2 brands could potentially use to break into this kind of new Web3 world. But also maybe you want to tie in a bit on how limit risk, let's say, for early adopters of Web3, people that may already be in Web3, but just getting their toes wet, and all the risk about that exists in Web3 that WhaleRoom might be able to help kind of mitigate some of that.
Yeah, of course. So there's a few challenges with building this type of infrastructure. Is that the range of wallets we can integrate is like enormous. The range of blockchains that might be demanded by certain, hosts on our platform varies, and the level of understanding of how to use all these things completely varies based on the user interacting with the app. So thinking of things like making the experience seamless for someone who doesn't have a wallet yet, but is used to, putting in an email to sign up for something, and then on the back end providing them with a self-custody wallet, right? Making sure that balance between serving the highly technical folks and the newer folks is like that balance you kind of need to achieve in the product, and choosing those providers we integrate with. Example, we integrated with recently to address this type of challenge for memberships or tokenized events is Unlock Protocol, because what they allow us to do is to present an authentication method to our users that both serves sophisticated users and people who don't yet have a wallet, and they take care of the whole wallet creation, and we've integrated them to be able to read the balances on the wallets. So the idea is to get to an experience where the person who's buying an NFT ticket to an event can do it with their email and a credit card. They're logging into our infrastructure, and they're doing it with their email, and our infrastructure is reading what's on their wallet to validate that they can show a QR code at the door. Like making that experience seamless, I'd say, and also accounting for like the security of the system is that fine balance that is hard to achieve. And it's almost like you need to take your time in choosing what providers you integrate with, because every month there's a new one that promises something better. So then you need to do due diligence. Like, is it better? Like, why not? So I'd say like that's a big thing for that.
Yeah, I think you stressed. I think especially this kind of, when people talk about Web 2 and Web 3, most people don't have any idea really what that really means. But going from kind of this internet that everyone's used to the kind of new internet that much less people are used to, and the fact that people are used to logging into things, having a password or having an email or a password, not having to store a 24-word, series of words on a metal slate inside of a safe in their grandmother's basement, or all these things that kind of right now are overly complicated in Web3 for most people, and so having interfaces that they're used to absolutely mitigate risk, because we in the exchange world we always get this thing of not your keys, not your crypto, and I'm not going to argue that that's inaccurate. But I would argue that most people actually have higher risk on holding their own keys than an exchange, for the simple reason that they don't understand the technology and they will lose the key, or they will share it with someone, or we've all seen those memes where someone says, "Am I doing this right?" and it has their 24-word phrase like written on a napkin right behind the picture or whatever. And I'm sure they're jokes, but some of them might not be. Yeah, definitely happen for sure. And so those things, things like WhaleRoom and things even like Coinmetro that provide, you're providing interfaces that people are used to, but giving them access to this new world. And that's always going to be needed, because no matter, even when the new world becomes the old world, there's still going to be things from the old world that people are used to and simply just don't necessarily adapt quick enough to get, to start, logging with their whatever, the heartbeat or something. Those things usually take a long time to get integrated. So yeah, absolutely. And I think WhaleRoom UI UX is amazing. So I think that's something that you guys definitely do well, and definitely help people, kind of ease their way into Web3 rather than getting force fed to them. So on that note, like what's your, considering how community driven WhaleRoom is, what's the long-term vision for the community, for the WhaleRoom community?
So at the beginning of WhaleRoom, what was really helpful is there's the inflow of new members, holders, and we set that up before even deploying the version 1 of the infrastructure. And we did that so that we could garner a group of people who all believed in this thing called token gating, and who could provide their ideas, their feedback on their vision for it. and kind of be community stakeholders in steering the direction of that development. So obviously, like I said at the start, since we launched this before we built the platform, building the platform has always obviously proved to be a much more complex endeavor than we imagined. Like, think of things like getting accepted to the App Store, or a specific provider you're looking to integrate with just gets acquired, and now your roadmap's been extended by a few months. So all this to say that we believe that we're probably going to have to do a relaunch of our community building efforts at WhaleRoom, because we're only getting to the point now where the infrastructure we built has caught up with the initial vision of what we wanted to do. So a way we see this going forward is through some of our new functionality on the ecosystem. We can actually house like a cornered off, probably like a theme park, WhaleRoom theme park, where there's multiple rooms that members within our community can decide to host on their own free of charge for projects that they care deeply about. So members within our community could begin using the infrastructure we've built to host their own token gating experiences, whether it's about topics they care deeply about, where they want to create a tokenized version of a community for that topic, or they want to do it around a specific crypto project they're highly passionate about and want to educate other holders about. That's kind of where we're going with the going back to the original vision of WhaleRoom, but making it possible with new features that we've added. And then the other idea is eventually to have members within the community incentivized to do outreach and find partners who want to partner with our community and maybe provide discounts to platforms that are directly related to certain rooms we have in our ecosystem, or services or offers, or maybe it's access to an Airbnb, who knows, but discounted offers that are now accessible to people who can prove they're members of the WhaleRoom community. And then also just in general, having the central WhaleRoom community be a place where everyone can just, who's like-minded, can connect, learn and grow from one another, related to projects they care about, technology they care about, or current events that are happening in the world. So that's a bit the vision, and we've come a long way.
Very cool. I think everybody that's listening to this that's ever been on a Telegram or a Discord group or chat understands that having the ability to token gate and keep some people is probably a good thing. The ability to kind of to moderate, but moderate using another, without having necessarily a moderation team, but moderating from kind of as soon as someone steps into the group is an amazing thing, for sure. Because there's always going to, that one troll that he's interesting for a few days, and then after that it gets old real fast.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we have this way of thinking about the word whale. We don't necessarily believe that it means someone who has a crazy amount of the tokens. It just kind of means like you have a highly vested interest in following the project. You're passionate about it. You're always trying to keep up with it, educate yourself, and share that passion with others who might share it as well, right? And so obviously, example, if someone wanted to set up a token gated room for Ethereum because they just love Ethereum, they don't necessarily need to make the entry criteria 1 ETH. That might be inaccessible to someone we would consider a whale. Maybe it's $500 or $100, just something to show that you have enough skin in the game to demonstrate that passion, and then act as that acts as the filter to keep those trolls, those people, those bad actors out. So that's how we think of it.
That's a good point. I guess it's a sentiment whale, not a doesn't have to be a cajillionaire, but if you're involved enough, you're a whale. I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because I think maybe people that don't necessarily already intertwined in the crypto community wouldn't necessarily think of whale as holding big bags of an asset. But obviously, everybody that's involved in crypto automatically has this vision of a meme of what the Rock carrying like this massive duffel bag. You know, we've all seen that meme a billion times.
Yeah, or you see those charts. You see those charts where it goes from like shrimp to whale.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually an important point to make. So, you know, as a business, we talked about this already a little bit, but you know, what are the main challenges WhaleRoom is facing right now? You know, whether that be tied to market sentiment or adoption, the predictions that you may have had that have or haven't come through. What are most of those challenges you guys are looking at right now?
So I would say it's mostly around the cyclical sentiment. Like there's just a night and day difference between the two, and since we decided to open up our infrastructure offering to the traditional crowd, the Web2 crowd, who just have normal existing businesses, that interest around what we do is completely tied to that. Like it's not that they have given up hope, is they've put it on pause until they're shown something has changed to warrant their attention again, or for them to have the confidence that if they put this in front of their customers as a new initiative, or their fans or their community, that it will be well received. And they also want to make sure that they're deploying these things in the right way, right? Like you said at the start, most projects are, you go on OpenSea, most NFT collections, they launch and then nothing happens. And the holders are just there and there's nothing to do. And that's like the worst thing to be shown if you're someone from outside looking in and you're like, should I implement this? And so it's an uphill battle to get people to be open to at least planning these types of efforts, because we know it's only a matter of time before the concept of token gating is as ubiquitous as the concept of logging in with email and password. It just takes time for infrastructure providers like us and some that we're integrated with to make that functionality get to a point where that experience does feel as high integrity, as high quality as it would in Web 2. So that's the biggest thing. And then also just prioritizing the roadmap. The roadmap's very hard to prioritize because every week we're approached by different projects. They're either startups, established businesses in Web 2, and they all have different needs. And all of those different needs require a specific integration here or a new batch of functionality there. And prioritizing that while striving to operate a sustainable business model it can be difficult when you're a startup, right? I'm sure you understand.
Yeah, well, I definitely understand that roadmap. That's a topic that I usually run out of the room. Every time I hear the word roadmap, I just leave the office. I don't want to be in that conversation anymore. No, it's always difficult, and just like, you know, obviously when you're creating a product that is meant to integrate with other systems, literally, then you're always at the mercy of those third parties, because if they change their roadmap, then yours gets changed as well. And unfortunately, you know, your own community tends to not, you know, if you go to your stakeholders, your shareholders, your token holders and say, oh, this is going to be 2.5, 3 months late because, you know, other guy can't deliver something, and nobody wants to hear that, right? So it's always difficult. Roadmaps are always difficult, especially when you're in a business where you're providing infrastructure for others, which means you're reliant on their ability to be able to integrate the infrastructure in order for you to kind of move forward on your own plans. So that'd be difficult for sure. Very cool. So we covered challenges. So we talked a bit about community. I mean, the fact that you know, your long-term vision for what the community will look like. You talked about restarting the community. So I guess another way to kind of have a different question, but another way to look at that same question is kind of for people that don't really understand the power of community, because I think people inside crypto probably get, maybe they don't necessarily at the front of their minds, but they understand the power of community in one way or another, because they probably came to crypto because of community. They probably bought an asset because of a community. They probably continue to do research through communities. But I guess, you know, how can the community help demonstrate the power of, you know, token-based, token-gated communities? And then I guess I can speak a little bit about the role of community, you know, for Coinmetro. It's also a big thing for us. And then you can talk a little bit about your own WhaleRoom community. I mean, I know you said you're, you know, restarting, but still those, you know, those communities can be really
Yeah, for sure. So we see power in allowing our community members to leverage the infrastructure we've built to prove out the power of token gating in their own way. And the idea is to democratize that and make it very accessible to almost anyone who's a member just by being a member. And then learning from the communities that do emerge that are hosted within. Oh, lost you, Kevin. I'll just keep going. That are a part of the WhaleRoom ecosystem. So the idea is to rekindle an effort to get people who are already running type of sideline communities or chats on Discord or Telegram to come and steward communities that are token gated for those same projects on WhaleRoom within the WhaleRoom ecosystem, and make that hosting fee free for them because they're a member of our community. Because I'm not sure if the viewers know, but the infrastructure that the WhaleRoom ecosystem lives on is the infrastructure that we've built called Sentry. And on the Sentry side, that's where we serve these Web2 type brands. And then on the WhaleRoom side, within that ecosystem, we serve more type Web3 projects or specific, rooms around specific topics, stuff like that. So another benefit that our holders actually get out of that is that if they ever do see they're having success or they're in a community and it clicks with them what the power of token gating is, they can come over to the Sentry side and launch a room for their business, for their loyalty program, for their VIP community, their online course, and get a discount on Sentry hosting fees that their business would pay just for also being a member of the WhaleRoom community. So that's a way we've thought of like rekindling all of this, and also giving back even more utility to our holders through either hosting their own micro communities under the WhaleRoom banner, or hosting their own token gated use cases on Sentry with a discount for being a WhaleRoom member. So obviously it's a hard mission to accomplish because it's kind of chicken and the egg. You need to have a lot of content in the room, or valuable content that people want to go in the first place to get people in the WhaleRoom community. But that's something we're going to be putting a lot more effort in over the next 12 months, community building wise, to kind of try and spur that reignition of the initial vision. Yeah.
Okay, good. Great question. There's a word I have to say as well. I mean, roadmaps, we already know that's one. We can put that on the I hate word list. But there's another one I hate, but I'm going to mention it. So what about metaverse? Have you guys been talking to or dealing with any companies that have, that work within the metaverse on a way to apply token gating to that, large piece of Web3?
We've had people approach us about it, and most of them either put their projects on pause or went out of business. The big ones that do exist are doing their own efforts around that, but even that, you see the level of interaction in these ecosystems isn't high enough for us to warrant making that part of our roadmap. But give you an example of another type of thing we see maybe being popular is token gating things like Web3 domain names, right? So imagine being able, there's providers out there that allow you to buy like a .crypto or a .biz and then actually own that dot. And then you can have, let's say you could buy Kevin.WhaleRoom, right? And then because you own Kevin.WhaleRoom, maybe you're allowed to come into the .WhaleRoom room. There's different use cases like this where it's integrating that type of provider. There's others where it's integrating Web2 platforms where there could be a synergy between our infrastructure and theirs. But metaverse, we've kind of stayed away from it because it's more like, I don't know, the way we think of it, it's a bit too early. It's going to become something, but it's a bit too early and it's too risky to throw ourselves in that world right now.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with you on that wholeheartedly, but I figured I'd ask because there's probably going to be somebody out there thinking about it. So I figured I'd throw out the question. I'm gonna pop up a question from someone in the audience here, which I think is which is an okay question. It's Coinmetro client for sure. This guy loves to ask questions on my AMA, so now you get a chance to answer one. So So why should a customer buy and hold WhaleRoom's token? What are the tokenomics and utility, which makes it an interesting investment? What's this? Maybe we remove the word investment. Just what makes it interesting for the average person from a utility standpoint?
I'll just clarify at the start. WhaleRoom is not to be perceived as anything related to an investment. It is a social token which grants you access to our community. And for being a member of the community, you can unlock benefits, whether they're on the platform itself that we've built, or the partner network discounts that we accumulate over time. In terms of the supply of the token, so how many memberships are available at any given time, because the minimum threshold to become a member is holding 100 whale, means that every time a new member comes in and remains a member, 100 tokens are taken out of the circulating supply per se. And at the current total max supply, so at the start of WhaleRoom, all the tokens were minted that day. They were valued at a price of 0 on Uniswap, so we did a fair launch. And as members came in, well, obviously how Uniswap works is the price of memberships varies with the supply and demand for the memberships underlying that. So at any given time, there can be a maximum of 10,000 members in the community, but you'll go and see on our website, there are multiple tiers that unlock different amounts of secret features on the platform or benefits to holders, right? And those other tiers range from holding 500 whale to 2,000 whale to 10,000 whale. As those memberships get acquired, and the idea is that we build a great community, is that obviously since the cost of membership is dependent on the success we have with community building, you can envision the rest. So I think that answers the question.
I think you answered that question perfectly without using the word investment. So amazing. That's a good one. I think the SEC would be proud. Well, maybe not proud. Maybe they'd be mad. I don't know what the sentiment would be. So my cheat sheet is empty. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to mention to the community. Anything that may be coming up for WhaleRoom. Something aside from the community relaunch. Something that might be on the tip of your tongue that you want to just let out a little bit of alpha maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll highlight that we are talking with you guys obviously about finding ways to weave in the infrastructure we've built with the Coinmetro ecosystem. So at a high level, what we've done to begin that is add support for Coinmetro, authentication. And my bad. And in essence, what that would allow you to do once that integration is fully complete is to sign in to our infrastructure as your Coinmetro account, and then all of your balances that are there could be used to gain entry to rooms for those projects. Whether or not we decide we're going to do one Coinmetro room for all of the projects listed on Coinmetro is unclear, but that's a direction we're looking to go with this partnership. And yeah, it's quite exciting because it would be the first and only at this point centralized exchange we have this type of integration with.
I think, I mean, considering, I would say the way that we go out about the way we list projects, meaning that we're not listing 5,000 or 10,000 assets, and the fact that we do try to get inside their communities to both to benefit their community but also our own. I think the WhaleRoom, this kind of idea to hook WhaleRoom up and have single sign-on, et cetera, is a great one. It fits right into that mantra. So yeah, I'm excited about it as well. So both, we both need to throw some resources at it, but I think we're getting close to that. And we can put it on a roadmap. But other than that, yeah, I'm also excited about it. So I guess we'll stop there, Chris. I appreciate the time today. Sorry about the kind of messy audio and me sitting in the restaurant. But I'm glad that we're able to talk. We definitely need to talk a little bit off this call, so we can drill in a bit to that partnership and make sure we can get that thing over the line as quick as possible. So let's schedule something. Let's get something in the books. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks Chris for all the great answers. Thank you Ropik for the great question as well. And yeah, we'll see you guys. I don't know, in the metaverse, I guess.
Thanks guys. Thanks Kevin. Much appreciated.
Cheers, man. Yeah, same. Cheers. Bye bye.